Medford from Medford Knife. You know, if you're here for a pure knife video, you might just want to keep on moving along, okay? If a little sarcasm, if a little satire bothers you, if you're not a good critical thinker, if a vocabulary spooks you a little bit, a solid vocabulary, if thinking that challenges your personal orthodoxy, if that challenges you, you should just move along because I'm getting ready to pull the ripcord. I'm going to pull the pin on this grenade. Imagine a nation so rich it doesn't count its coffers. Imagine a government so powerful it can take in authoritarian fashion from all of its citizens. Imagine, what should I do here? I think, hold on. There we go. No more phone calls will come in. Sorry. Imagine a citizenry so blind by government propaganda, they have a hard time seeing the truth. Imagine people go to school for years and go into debt and put their families into debt so they can quote unquote have the American dream, so that they're now qualified to do jobs that high school graduates have always done because high school graduates were educated well and thoroughly competent enough to do almost every form of sales. Imagine a working group of people so talented and so productive they change the course of humankind. Imagine those people having their livings taken from them by the overreach of a government that wants to regulate everything. Imagine needing a license to go fishing. Imagine needing a license to go shooting rabbits. Imagine needing a license to go shoot quail. Imagine needing a license to put your boat in a public waterway. Imagine needing to license your car, which you paid for, to drive on the roads you paid for with your taxes. Imagine a nation so wealthy that the people we elect, almost irregardless of where they come from, I should say regardless of where they come from, so much money on the table, it compromises them all. Imagine your veterans get in the government and they become corrupt. Imagine that everyone is corrupt. Imagine a country so corrupt, it steals trillions of dollars from generations of elderly, generations of workers, telling us how broke they are and that they need more money and that we can't retire at 60, we retire at 62, then retire at 65. And then they're going to say 68, and then they're going to say 70. And we put in this money year after year for what is supposed to be ours, not an entitlement. Imagine that year after year, the Government Accountability Office is internal auditing and finds out there's nearly $500 billion of corruption in Social Security, and no administration in 50 years has done anything about it. Imagine the world's richest man stepping aside from the things he's done, which were mostly to help the world. Imagine that man stepping aside from his major successes to basically step in and do what every Democrat or Republican has been saying for a century of elections. We're going to make a government fair and accountable and not wasteful, and we're going to benefit the American people. Imagine a military-industrial complex so embedded and powerful with the ruling class that as soon as 20 years of wars end in the Middle East, they spool another one up in Ukraine and they sell it to the American public. Imagine that. Imagine $380 billion going to Ukraine so that they could buy weaponry from American manufacturing companies, so that they could use some of it and sell the rest to our enemies in South America. Imagine that. Imagine the world's wealthiest man pausing his endeavors, which are bringing us to space, making us multiplanetary as a species so that we wouldn't be wiped out by a comet or a meteor. Imagine the wealthiest man in the world, instead of mining steel and taking oil, all he does is make green electric cars to satisfy a world's need for a cleaner way of travel. And imagine him doing it. And imagine people who say they're for women's rights, and they say they're for a global initiative on global warming, and they say they're for green sustainability, and they say they're for all these things. And imagine them going around and burning his cars and firebombing his dealerships. Imagine Americans on the left who are anti-Israeli, pro-Palestine, pro-trans, anti-family, and they're against a guy for free stepping in to help fulfill what is so obvious to all of us a million times over, the dream of constraining our government, limiting its power, and allowing its people to be free. Allowing. The government doesn't get to allow us to be free. Our freedom is inalienable. It is a human right endowed upon us by the Creator. Imagine a government so omnipotent that our freedoms can be taken and given with each administration that comes in. Imagine that for a minute. The right of free speech is not a right. It's a privilege whoever's whim it is in power. And imagine half of our country so obsessed with downing Donald Trump, with making fun of MAGA and that movement. Imagine a group of people so blind to those obvious facts. My countrymen, whom I love and would defend and have, so blinded by personal hatred, so blinded by propaganda, they're not even willing to entertain the idea that our bloated, out of control government is a hustle of the grandest order. Imagine a group of people who have got on the teat of disruptors out of Marin County, the technology disruptors. They disrupt everything. They disrupt the taxi business with Uber. They disrupt the food business with Uber Eats and food delivery. They disrupt medicine with online.com medicine. They disrupt everything. Imagine that group of people so happy to invest in disruptor technology and so blind to the fact that we voted for a disruptor. If you cast a stone at me or anyone else for voting for Trump and you're for the corruption they're uncovering, shame on you. Shame on you for being so myopic, so selfish, so self-oriented that you don't see what's going on. Shame on you. Imagine our neighbor in Canada charging us 250% taxes on our farm products, and everyone thinks it's okay. Imagine that when someone sticks up for America and says, hey, we got a lot of farmers here and we farm, and if you're gonna tax our goods, you're basically screwing over your own citizens so that you can protect whatever your thing you're protecting up in Canada is. In that case, we're gonna put a little pressure back on you. Imagine that country deciding we're the instigator. Just imagine. Imagine that lumber is so expensive to log in your own country because it's so regulated that it's cheaper to cut down the resources in Canada and bring it here. And that's the excuse. That's the excuse. You know, I see some comments here from very dumb people. There are so many facts. And when someone says, where are your facts? You want me to start citing sources on everything? You won't believe them then. You're too dumb. The cult members, see, if you think that the other side has no good points and that you see no flaw in your own, that's the sign that you're propagandized. That's the earmarks of a CIA operation. Anybody who thinks they're all right and the other side's completely wrong and the other side has no good ideas, for you to sit outside and castigate a businessman stepping in, looking at our government and seeing waste and bloat. You know, the US government's the largest employer on planet Earth. Does it need to be? Ever since the founding of the teachers' unions and the Department of Education, American literacy in math and reading and writing has gone consistently down, inversely proportional to the amount of money we put in. We put in more money per pupil than any nation on earth into the Federal Department of Education, which is mostly a hustle for Marxist policies. It's funny how many of you, I'm not calling anyone, I'm asking, I am telling you, if you don't see flaws in your own side and all you see is error in the other side, you've been propagandized. The chat, I almost want to turn the chat off because some of you are absolutely bananas. When a country has a 250% tax and you levy a 10% tax against them, that's not you being hostile. That's you sending a wake-up shot across their bow. You know, a lot of you don't know this because you don't do business internationally and you don't know these things. But for instance, for me to do business in Europe, anything that I make here and bring to Europe has a 25% tax on it. The Europeans say, oh, that's not a tax against American goods. That's a tax on all goods. Professor Oak, I mean, what am I wrong about here? You don't know shit. So hold on a second here. Let's just take care of this and we will, let me see, pin message, hide user on this channel. Done. You know, I'm waiting for anybody who has a problem with any of this to come up with any facts. Like people are pro-corruption. You're pro-corruption. You guys are pro-waste. Like, I'm cool paying my tax. How much tax should we pay and still have it get wasted? Thoughts on Zionism. Guys, when you fly into Israel, as I have done a couple of times, you can see Israel from a couple hundred miles away. It's this thriving garden of productivity, order, and civilization. And when you look to where Palestine is, what you see is the 14th century. So am I pro-Israel? I'm exceedingly pro-Israel when they're right, and I'm anti-Israel when they're wrong. Just like I'm pro-American when we're right, and I'm mad at America when we're wrong. We're wrong to fight accountability in our government. Who Imagine a citizen on here telling me I'm wrong for being mad about waste in government. That anybody who says that is a stupid fucking retard. If you're against auditing and accountability in the government, you're a fucking moron. And a pox on your house. All of you. And for those of you who've like forgotten what happened, can you imagine what would happen if someone sent 7,000 missiles into civilian territory of the United States and killed civilians? Can you imagine what we would do? That's what happened to Israel. And you know, for all of you who are pro-Ukraine, you know, you're welcome to go to Ukraine and be a freedom fighter. But that is a corrupt, awful country. You know, a lot of people don't know this, but the 6 million Jews that Hitler is attributed to killing, 1.5 million of them were shot at gunpoint by Ukrainians unprompted. You know, people don't read books and then they comment like they're really smart. You can Google this, you can find it. It's super easy, super public information. It's about 1.5 million Jews were shot by Ukrainians. Read multiple sources. Yes, that was a while back. That's fine. The Soviets remember a fifth of their population being killed through Ukraine. They have a different memory than the rest of us sitting over here with oceans on both sides who've never seen a hostile shot fired on our own land by a foreign power. Imagine a country where people are so opinionated and so uninformed. Imagine a country where not only are they uninformed and opinionated, because I have my opinions too. I like to think they're pretty informed, and if you don't agree with me, that's fine. Line up your facts, and let's bump our facts off each other. Oh, we're defending Russia now. How American of you. It's not American to attack other countries, Professor Oak. You can't actually be a professor. You must be a ding-dong. Like, do you know the history of Russia? Do you know what happened? Do you know the value of the Crimea Peninsula? You know, we almost started a nuclear war over there putting missiles in Cuba because we put missiles in the Bosphorus to block the Bosphorus in Turkey, to block off their warm water port, which is their only one, and it's existential to them. Do you know that the Ukrainians and the Russians have been on the verge of peace deals twice, and we have quietly stepped in and tamped them down? Like Professor Dumbfuck, do you know history at all? Do you know that they were pulling Russian speakers out in the street and beating them to the near edge of death when the Russians stepped in? Do you know any of that? Professor Oak, what do you know? Like, if you want to criticize me for your opinion, give me some facts. But have you read anything? Do you know what's happened? Do you know about the Minsk Accords? Do you know that we sabotaged them? Russia, Zelensky ran on signing them. They were written by the French, the Germans, the Ukraine, and the Russians, and the Ukrainians wanted to agree to them. And we quashed it. Do you know that? Do you know that the idea of them giving up the Crimea Peninsula, which is their only warm water port as a power, allows them to conduct what they do as a superpower, because they are one? We wouldn't let someone take all of our ports in a political move. So yes, why are Democrats unanimously pro-war in Ukraine? Why are they unanimously pro-Palestinian in the Middle East? Tell me why. Is there not one who has a deviating idea? Not one? What's the party line? How can that many people who are educated on something be that egregiously wrong and unanimously single-minded. How is that possible? It's only possible through outside force. It's only possible through compromise. They're compromised. Imagine a country where half the people are straight up pro-war. And they're pro-environment, and they're pro-abortion, and they're pro-war, and they're so propagandized they don't even see it. I'm not propagandized. I speak my mind. I'm well read. When I hear guys take a shot at me, they offer nothing. They're just cunts taking a shot at me. Take your shot. My ideas are better than yours. My brain is better than yours. Bring your ideas. And for those of you who are harassing people driving green battery Tesla cars, bring your ideas. Violence is the harbinger of scoundrels who've lost their ideas. I've got nothing else, so I'm going to tip over a car. I'm a petulant child. And you Canadians, you're fake polite. You're fake polite. You're beta men, you're eunuchs. You're led by a beta male who's got a mommy for a wife, and you're betas. A whole country of betas. There aren't a handful of men up there. I don't know what they're doing, but I think they get home and their wives tell them what to do. Sorry. John, what part about what I've said is not well read? What part about what I've said is indefensible? And John, do you have anything, or are you just gonna take a shot at me? Let me see who this is. Why is Canada allowed to have 200 and 300% and 150% taxes on us, and we're not allowed to tax them in return? I would like any of you ding-dongs who are defending more war. I mean, listen, Trump said it during his first State of the Union address, which wasn't the State of the Union typically, but his hello address to Joint Sessions of Congress. You guys want to clap for another 5 years of war in Ukraine? And the only person clapping was a Democrat. Tell me why that's okay. For the first time in my life, there's a man in power who doesn't want war and is trying to stop it, and everyone thinks he's bad. That's hilarious to me. Oh, John, my language offends you, you sensitive cunt? Fuck you. It doesn't mean I'm not well read. It just means I like verbal punctuation. You Canadians are a bunch of fucking sheep. They took your fucking guns away, they feminized your country, and you got a little man baby running your country he's gonna wage war with a grown-up. You guys are gonna fucking lose. You don't have a single fucking car company in Canada. You don't make a car, you don't make an airplane. Okay? Yeah. Swearing is a sentence enhancer. It absolutely is. It's like, I don't know. It's like glow on the mountains. Yeah. You got mediocre medicine. All your people get sick and come down here. We see them in our hospitals. They come down here when they get cancer. They come down here when they have real stuff going on. We all see it in America. You Canadians, you've had your country stolen from you like a bunch of goddamn cunts. And you know why? Because your freedom was granted to you. You're not like us. You're not. You're subjects. Americans are not subjects. We're rowdy. We're a little crass. Ford's in Canada because we put it there, not because a Canadian built it. That's the difference between us and everybody else. And you guys don't like to hear about it. But when you hear American exceptionalism, we're the only people on earth that claimed our freedom and sent the king packing with his dick between his legs. He had to do the tuck back and skedaddle out of here. You guys haven't done that. You've been granted your independence. You're still subjects of the crown. Your own people don't even like being Canadian. Two guy for guy, we don't have a king now. We actually have a president who's by the people and for the people, and he's not for the big companies, and he's not for the oligarchs, and he's not for the military-industrial complex. How you miss that is a cognitive dissonance. When you have presidents who claim to be for gay people and they're pro-war so that they keep Morton Thiokol and Halliburton and Boeing and all of them, then we keep all of them happy. Keep all of them happy, and then you just make trans the Surgeon General. You guys don't get it. You've stopped thinking. You're not even, your idea, you're in your own bubble. You don't even know my side of the argument. You don't even know your own. That's why you have to realize why Ford is. This is super dumb. Some of this stuff is just. Some of you guys are, a couple of you are really fucking stupid, and it's like me arguing with a frog. Like, frog can't do calculus, I can. The only ones who have any balls in Canada are the truckers, and you guys tried throwing them all in jail. You know, Trump makes a point. You guys aren't even a fucking country without us. It sounds awful, it sounds arrogant, but in the final analysis, it's true. What airplanes do you fly in your little tiny military? American airplanes. Do you know why? Because you don't make them. The only car factories you have there are ones that we put up there. It's not about a battle with Canada, guys. I don't want a battle with Canada. Canada is a proxy American state. People who don't understand that are just not informed. It is a proxy American state. They don't go against us on anything. We're bickering over unfair trade status quo. It's not cool. I do business in Europe. It's the same thing. 25% tax on everything that goes in. They say, oh, that's value-added tax. It's on everybody. It's not against America. Fuck off. The only market that Europe wants access to is America. It's true. If we stop buying German cars, the European continent would collapse. Tell me how to fix everything. You know, nobody's talking about fixing everything. And Trump's not advocating fixing everything. That's crazy. Trump is advocating, why do American car manufacturers get charged 25% to do business in Europe and you don't get charged to do business here? Why do farmers in America, one of our biggest trades, get charged 250% to bring some goods into Canada and you get charged nothing to bring them into here? Parity. Trump wants parity. And whoever made those deals should have asked for parity. But we haven't had anybody on our side in 100 years. So, I ask you, I think, you know, it's so obvious. Trump has said these tariffs will go away if you'll drop your tariffs. If you look at the stuff he put tariffs on, they're highly tariffed against us. Does anybody read anything? Yeah. I'm not for free trade. I'm for fair trade. I'm, I'm, it's easy for Canadians to thump their chest, but your country is fucked up, okay? You're a bunch of socialists up there who have the largesse of being socialists because no one's gonna fuck with you because we're down here paying for everything, okay? If Canada had to fucking man up, and if our government had any goddamn balls, which finally it does, if Canada had to man up, it would be paying for a military, and it would have to make choices, and it wouldn't be doing stupid social experiments up in Canada, telling professors how they need to speak and what trans language is by law that they have to use. And they'd be building jets and building an infrastructure to defend their people from potential foreign hostility. But they don't. So, Canada, look, I love you guys. Canadians they're too polite. And every time I meet somebody that's uber polite, they're hiding some dark past. Heroin addict, passive aggressive, beta. I'm very turned off by people that are polite. I'm not going from price to freedom. This is an unscripted show. I'm free balling here. We pay for Europe's defense. They don't pay for their defense. We pay for Canada's defense. They don't pay for their defense. And because of it, they have a bunch of extra money to run stupid social programs and brainwash their people, which has basically been a mass castration of men. Feminized countries are bad. They are. How are we paying for it? Do you understand? Yes, I do understand actually how the Fed works. The Antichrist. The Antichrist. That says a lot right there. Does Canada need defense? Canada could need defense at any moment. Just not in the last 30, 40 years. Anybody who says a country doesn't need defense is because someone else is taking care of it. Explain how no money equals money. Well, the Antichrist, if you just actually give a logical question that's got some clarity to it, I'd be happy to answer. You need a national defense, not only to protect your country, but to protect your interests abroad. If you have no interests abroad because you're an ineffectual satellite state, then you don't need a military. And all you need is the protectorate of the state to which you are a satellite. And you're welcome. You know what Canada should be saying right now? We don't want to be America, but you're welcome. And thank you. Thank you, America. Thank you. We can sit up here and smoke pot until we're all blazed up and having a great time. You literally don't understand how the world works, says the Antichrist. I actually do. Antichrist, what do you do for a living? Like to know. Said at the beginning of the video, it's not a knife show. It's just a basic rant. I'm trying to imagine a country where so many people are so ill-informed. The Antichrist. You're in HVAC. You're an air conditioning guy, and you're going to tell me I don't understand how the world works? Tell me when the last time you did like international sales was, which I do all the time. Tell me when the last time you had to do like mezzanine financing for a large project you're doing on a global product launch. I don't know. Let me know. Let me know when you had to work out doing business with Canadian imports and European imports like I do on a weekly basis. Let me know. But if you're just doing HVAC, just give me some more facts, because what you do professionally is not cluing you into like the global machinations that we're talking about. I don't mean to speak down to you, but you come in here chopping at me like you're some fucking global expert, and I'm well read and I'm experienced and I know what I'm talking about. And I'm opinionated, yes. But like if you want to talk to me about something, bring something. You think because you use currency, it's relevant. Okay, so the Antichrist, I'm actually gonna delete you because your comments are so fucking dumb. What a fucking dummy. Hide user on channel. God, what a dummy. Let's see this one. So, if you're still here and you're a mad liberal, you should wonder why you're on the opposite side of a minority, of a majority colossal win. You should wonder why so many of us want to see our country treated fairly. You should wonder why, and that you don't. You should wonder why so many of us want accountability for our tax dollars. You know, people that have concerns about our tax dollars, maybe they don't pay taxes. They might just be losers who don't pay any taxes. No, I'm not here to talk about knives. I'm here to talk about what's going on in the world. I'm here to talk about Donald Trump basically flipping the bird to everybody who's been sticking it up our ass and calling it a thermometer. We have gotten screwed over by every administration that's made every agreement that's fucked us over. You know, when the Europeans came up with their 25% VAT tax, I had a British fellow in the shop yesterday and he said it was higher than that. I thought it was 25%. It's on everything coming in, and they are over there. They have hunched over in Brussels and crammed their flaccid European Union cock into their mouth and have choked on it so hard that they don't think the VAT is a tax on America. Oh, it taxes everybody importing, not America. Well, how much stuff do you get from everybody else? It's a tax on America. Yeah, John, it's funny. I've seen about 20. I've experienced a little bit more in Germany, and then I've seen 34. So I don't know if there's maybe some individual countries tossing tax on top of it. Not sure quite what the deal is. But it makes a $40,000 car in Europe cost $40,000 here, and it makes a $40,000 car made here, sold in Europe, costs $50,000. That is a hustle. And they could say, oh, well, we're protecting our automotive industry. Yes, you are. Then we should protect ours. That's it. Like, why does this upset anybody? We want cheap BMWs. Hey, you know what? Fuck BMW. And I'm a Porsche guy. Fuck Porsche too. Will tariffs affect Medford Knife and Tool? You know, I do. The tariffs that Europe has against me affect me horribly. So I'm willing to do less than this. I do more business in Delaware than I do in Europe. And Europeans are big into knives, and I have crazy fans over there. Europe's awesome at the people level. And when you talk to Germans and when you talk to French and Italians, they feel like their countries have been robbed from them. You know, J.D. Vance went over to Europe and basically gave them a talking to. He says, you don't stand for anything because you're out of step with 77% of the electorate in Europe. And that's been going on in America. They are out of step with the people. The people in Europe are lovely. And I think the people in Canada, besides being a bunch of passive aggressive betas, I think they're lovely also. But their government is out of step with them. Women should not run the world. I am sorry, Canada. I am sorry, Europe. Fuck off. And what you get is a feel-good sort of leadership. You get a form of mommunism, and it's awful, and it's oppressive, and it's the mom everyone tries to break away from to become themselves in their adolescence. With very few exceptions. And I love women dearly. Do I think they should run nations? Fuck no. God. Certainly not because they're women. Only because they're eminently qualified. For no other reason. And it's yes ma'am, of course. Professor Oak. Uninformed yet again. I love the assumptions people make. It's kind of hilarious. Yeah. Imagine a country. For every one of you castigating me, I love all of the hate mail. But instead of just shitting out of your mouth, you don't even type nothing and don't embarrass yourself. Like, I'm here, I hang it out, I'm cool with it. But instead of shitting out of your mouth onto the screen, come up with a good idea. Mention one good idea to counter me. Sexism, racism, this, that. Fuck off. Come up with a good idea. Chris Mullins, I'm sorry. I thought my query was just. Hold on, let me look real quick. I wish I could. Give me your query again, and I'll see what I can do. Yeah, apparently it's bad. Apparently it's bad to think, women shouldn't be in harm's way in the military. Apparently it's bad to think that strong masculine leadership is best for a nation. Like, that's not anti-woman. That's pro-nation. I just said, if you listen, you fucking cunt. See how I use it against the man? I just said, if a woman has earned it and she's there because she's got the chops, it's yes ma'am to her. It's just not the case, almost ever. I'm waiting for it to happen. But it hasn't even come close. The only reason is vote for me because I'm a woman. It's time for women to have a shot. That's not what runs a country. You don't vote for a king because it's just their due. It doesn't work that way. You vote for a leader because they fucking earned it, because they have the best ideas, and in the free marketplace, their arguments, the soldiers of their mind, their arguments, line up and are more powerful. That's why they get elected. That's why you vote for them. For you guys that are lefties who are shitting out of your fingers onto my screen, shut your mouths, pull your fingers back, and think, because you sound stupid. It's easy to knock at anything I say. Well, that's dumb. Tell me how. Well, that's sexist. Tell me how. Well, that's wrong. Tell me how. I don't get a single how I'm wrong. I just get wrong, sexist, pig, racist, asshole, dummy, fatso. Those aren't arguments. Those are the squeals of petulant children. And when you run out of ideas, and when you run out of arguments, and when you run out of information, and when you haven't read enough, that's all you can do is squeal. So, I think we should all look in the mirror. I think we should wonder why half of our countrymen are against accountability. Half of our countrymen are yelling, it's an unelected official auditing the government. Who better to audit the government than one of us? I don't want the government auditing itself. They've been doing it for 40 years. Last time they did it was in 2017. They found there was a $500 billion of erroneous spending in the Social Security Administration. And do you know what they did? Nothing. $500 billion. $500 billion in fraud and waste in Social Security found under the Biden administration, and they did nothing. How can you be okay with that? How can you be okay being mad at a guy who's done more for green energy and global warming, arguably, than any human being ever? Mad that he's taken time away from his global initiative, humankind shifting companies, to go in for a year on his own dime and audit the US government. You know, Musk doesn't do stuff for money. He doesn't need more money. Don't you get that? He doesn't need more money. Trump's not doing this for more money. Everyone make these comments, oh, so we can get more Trump golf courses. He doesn't want to build more golf courses. Elon Musk doesn't need more money. Elon Musk will be here succeeding after all of us have come and gone. Chris, do you actually think Donald Trump went through everything he's gone through just to make more money in his companies? Do you honestly think that he went through the potential going to jail, the weaponization of the government, the overall assault on his family and himself, getting shot at several times? You think he went all through that to make more money? He was already a billionaire. He's lost money doing this job. Guys, I'm not a greenie. I don't own a Tesla. If I was made of money, I'd go buy 100 of them today. Regardless, and when Democrats loved Musk, I never, ever in my life considered going to a Tesla and flipping it over and lighting it on fire. I never thought of protesting at a Tesla dealership. I've never thought of harassing somebody in the Whole Foods parking lot because they're a tree-sniffing hippie liberal. Never. Never. They're my countrymen. They're free to their ideas. Would I like to make more money? That is the red herring question of all time. Everyone would like to make more money. Would I like to do it at risk of my life? No, I don't need more. Would I like to do it at risk of my family and reputation? No. Do you see people compelled to do patriotic things that are a sacrifice? I see that. All right, that's my rant for the day. It's shocking when you say it out loud. It's shocking when you say it out loud. And so many of you on here commenting who clearly aren't Trumpers, and that's okay if you're not a Trumper, but to be against efficiency in government, to be against accountability, to be against auditing our federal government, to be against your own country trying to stick up for itself, to be against somebody finally pointing out, like, God, you know, the trade practices are fucking over America. Why are we underfunding all of these countries who are fucking us over with a free military? Like, that's my question. Why are we funding Canada and Europe not having it? You know why Canada doesn't need to defend itself, Canadians? Because we're here. Because we've done it. because we ended World War I. And a few of you came along for the ride, but if you didn't come, we wouldn't have noticed. Thanks for coming. You know, we ended World War I. World War II, we ended that one too. That's why you don't need a military. And for you children who don't think governments need militaries, you're out of your mind. You've not seen what happens because you've had it too good too long. The good guys won, fortunately. John, you're not wrong on that. That's the first smart thing you said today. Russia's helped end World War II. But us dropping on Hiroshima and Nagasaki shut down the Pacific. Us coming in, the Battle of Bulge, Normandy, shut the Germans down on the Western Front. The Russians sacrificed immensely on the Eastern Front. And you're absolutely right. The Russians were a major, major pivotal part of ending World War II, which is why we should not be adversarial with them in many respects. We should be very much cooperating with them, or we force them into the friendship with China, who I believe is not a good actor. And frankly, I'm not sold that my country's a great actor internationally now. And you know why? Because they don't do the will of the people. They're doing the will of the CIA and the military-industrial complex. Cooperating with Russia is not freaking mad. It's not. Just because you disagree with them, just because you disagree with somebody just doesn't mean that. I mean, this is the same people, this is the same type of person who wants to flip over Teslas because he's in auditing our government. Yeah, and I don't know how everyone is. I want to find out what Russia's done so bad. I'd like to know. I mean, we've instigated what's happened. They told us they were going to do this 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 5 years ago. They told us. And thank you, Canada, for joining into the fight. But not a single Canadian went to war flying a Canadian airplane, a Canadian tank, a Canadian truck, or shooting a Canadian rifle. Yeah, get off the CNN bandwagon. That's right. America and Russia cooperating is better for planet Earth. In Canada, you guys, I know as much as it hurts you. You're great at hockey, and I think you're probably good at hanging out and not doing much and smoking weed and probably chopping trees down, but you're a proxy state of the United States already. Without the United States, you guys are a distant province of Europe, of Great Britain, and you haven't done anything. You do nothing. Sorry. And there's a handful of men up there. They show up every time there's a war. But for the most part, you guys are fucking sheep, and you let a bunch of let a bunch of effeminate men destroy your nation, take your guns away, and then they can tell you how to talk because they took your guns away and they're not afraid of you. They're never going to take our guns away down here in the United States, ever. And they will be afraid to tell us how to talk. And they just tried to tell us how to talk for the last 4 years, and they got their asses handed to them. Yeah. We have a world to gain being on good terms with Russia. We have a world to gain. And the whole world has a lot to gain. And what is there to gain with Canada? Honestly, nothing but trees. That's not the people. It's just the fucking raw materials is the only thing out of Canada we need. You Canadians, You're a footnote to history. You are. So, it's just a little humble pie. You guys blocked your market from us. We kind of like shrug. It's not nothing, but it's not everything. You block our market from you, good luck selling your stuff to everybody else. Because you've made all of your shit crazy expensive and your rules are stupid. And Europe? Every time I go to Europe, all that I get is Europeans coming up to me to say, when it gets bad enough, I'm coming to America. When it gets bad enough, I'm out of here. I can't believe what's going on here. Nobody's done anything at the political level that jives with anyone I know in years. That's all they say over there. I don't hate Canadians. The fuck are you talking about? I'm just saying the truth. Canada's a proxy state of America. It is. They don't like it because it bruises your ego a little bit. You haven't done anything. Nothing. You haven't built a canal. You haven't won a world war. You participated with us. Thanks for the help. Jesus fucking Christ. I just saw this lineup of tariffs on American goods going into Canada. It's fucking clear as the nose in front of your face. Well, listen, best of luck to y'all. I don't think you're gonna. I don't think you got any chance of winning this thing. I think you need our American market more than we need your trees. We got plenty of trees. We'll get the fucking tree huggers out of the way. They'll let us log, and we got plenty of wood down here. We'll get it all worked out. And the tariff war, yes, the Canadians started the tariff war. We just are calling them out on it right now. And if you don't like it, I'm sorry. Just get a book and read a little bit. Get information into your brain will unwire all the propaganda that's been thrown on there. Yes, I am on OnlyFans. You can find me there. I show my ass a lot. I dance around a little bit, and I touch myself for tips. Let's see. That's it. For those of you who agree with me, thanks for joining. For those of you who don't agree with me, thanks you for joining too. And then I recommend, instead of snarky quips, that you develop good ideas. And instead of hunting and pecking 3 words out of my unscripted sentences to throw a barb at me, come up with a good idea of your own. And then you'll actually contribute something. And everybody else, all of you, have a lovely and safe day. I'm looking forward to tariff-free trade with Canada and Europe because I will fucking dominate. I'm just looking forward to it. I'm out!